Hey y'all, welcome back to Seriously Stump'd. Stick around today if you guys want to see me do some driveway maintenance, switch over implements, grind down some stumps, and then mill some logs. But if that don't jingle your bells, you can stay stumped. We'll catch you guys on the next one. So as you guys can tell, there's a whole bunch of weeds in the middle of our driveway, right where the swell is, and that's kind of affecting the water runoff. So since we had the box blade hooked up to the BX23S, I felt it a good time to go ahead and scrape some of that out. And then anything that I can't get rid of without going too deep, I'll come back with some weed killer and handle that later. Stump fam, it's so hot here in the Carolinas, my camera went into life preservation mode, but what you guys saw me do is I flipped these teeth down. Typically you want them up because all you want to do is fluff the rock to the surface, but I put them down to really dig into those roots of the weeds that are growing up in our swell just to get them out of the way. So now I'm going to go ahead and point them back up. That way I can continue fluffing the rock to the surface. But I want to be mindful of keeping a tilt on my box blade so I don't ruin that swell, because that swell is super important to have water run off instead of run through your driveway. But if you want a full explanation on how to maintain your driveway properly, the Faja of Landfather, he's got a good video, and I'll put it in the description of this one so you can check that out. Mother Nature just doesn't want to play today, does it? Woo! Over here, heating up my camera to the point where it shuts off, and then flipping my camera over. I'll take that! Da-da-da! Looking pretty good! On to the next project! So, since I was never able to figure out the 3-point quick hitch to be compatible with this box blade, we still got to take this off the old hard way. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you can switch back to the first video I ever put out on this channel, and you'll see that I hooked up that 3-point quick hitch from Harbor Freight, and it's just simply not compatible with this box blade. So we still got to do this one the old hard way. Just like that, she's all done. Now she's all done. Now that we got everything all hooked up and ready to go, it's time to come down here and tackle this monster of a stump that we've been saving. We haven't really been saving it, we just haven't had any time to knock it out, and we've had other priorities, but it's about to be turned into mulch in no time flat. We're gonna knock this one out the ballpark. Let's go! Man, how could y'all let me forget? You gotta take this MechMaxx to the dentist prior to use. Lord, you can't be out here acting a fool with loose teeth. Ha-ha! Got our 24mm spanner wrench. Let's go ahead and check all these teeth. All good. Before I get too far, a couple things I've noticed running this stump grinder is that this debris deflector right here, it gets in the way when you got these high projecting stumps, and I may end up taking it off or flipping it upside down to give me some more room to where I can really work these over. And the other thing, always do your safety check. You got your hearing protection and you got your BCGs or your Ted Bundy specials, whatever you want to call them. I actually ran over my other pair, so I had to get a new pair, and I went to Amazon to pick them up. And they didn't have any. So then I found them at Duluth Trading Company, free shipping, good to go. Now we back in action. Oh yeah, it's coming along nicely, but it's also a good time to take a moment to point out a couple points of emphasis that I've learned after running this MechMaxx on the back of the BX23S. So, you always want to work right to left on these stumps. You want to take about 2 inches of material per pass, and then you just want to be mindful of bugs anytime you're outside, because I got bit up by ants the other week. And then you also want to keep a leaf blower, because this thing likes to block your obstruction of view, so you want to keep everything as clear as possible. That way you at least have somewhat of a view. Speaking of your view, I picked up a rear view camera, but my fat feet ripped the cable off, so that's why you see me keep turning around, because I haven't got around to rewiring it just yet. So I need to get after that so I don't get a crick in my neck. And then something that JW pointed out, he's that guy over there with projects with JW, and I'll post a link to his stuff in the description of this video so you guys can check him out. But he brought up that this thing has a clutch that you have to adjust based on the horsepower of your tractor, and if you're bogging your tractor down too much, you probably need to adjust your clutch. But I'm gonna get back to grinding this thing down before the weather comes in, and I already told you it ain't trying to play today, so let's go. You also want to avoid rocks, because these are teeth duller 3000s. I'd say that looks pretty good, and this sky up here does not look pretty good. It's trying to blow a whole twister in on us. I know that movie's coming out this weekend, but Lord, I ain't trying to get caught in it. We gotta go. Ah! No, whammy. I pressed my luck too much and didn't make it. Gotta go. There's finally a little bit of a lull in the storm to where we can mill some logs, but we got to get our Mosquito Repellent 9000 fired up, and it needs a little love, so we're going to help it out. Rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey. Sometimes fire needs a little help to get frisky. I think it's good to go now. Let's get to milling some logs. Release the emergency stop switch, flip it to on, flip it to choke, hit that start. Chant number 2 looks pretty good. All right, Stump fam, so I'm running into a little bit of a stump situation here, and I believe I need to tighten my blade, because if you listen, you'll keep hearing this knock, and it's like the engine is spinning and it's slipping on the belt. So I'm gonna try to tighten the belt and see if that stops that. That right there. That. Before. So to tighten the belt, you gotta loosen the mounting bolts of the engine. An 11/16" wrench seems to do the trick. And there are 4 of them. I've already done the other 2. So once you get your mounting bolts loose on both sides, there are 4 of them in total, you want to loosen this here and then use your socket to tighten this here, and then that'll pull the engine this way and thus tightening your belt. After, all right, so sometimes a little mechanical aptitude goes a long way, especially when you're running equipment that you've never ran before. So essentially what was happening is at idle, the engine was trying to rotate just a little bit because there wasn't enough tension on the belt to keep it stagnant, or stationary, I mean. And while it was doing that, it was making this awful noise, and honestly, it was making it unpleasurable to do any milling. But now that we have loosened the 4 mounting bolts of the engine and then tightened the belt by shifting the engine that way, everything is good. It's no longer trying to do that spin at idle, and we're all good to go. But the storm is not going to let us mill any more logs, so I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up and get this thing covered back up. Let's go. All right, so we moved indoors but still outdoors. That way we ain't over there milling logs if it starts pouring down rain. But just like when I opened that stump grinding video and I told you I was going to repurpose this crate, now I've done it. I went and picked up this rigid planer off Marketplace, and now we're going to turn these rustic logs, or these rustic boards, into something smooth that we can use just like if you got it from the big box store. Let's go. Now that we got everything cleaned up, oh Lord, now that we got everything cleaned up, that's about all I got for you guys. We were able to switch implements or attachments on the tractor, do some driveway maintenance, grind some stumps, grade that all out, make some 2x4s on the mill, troubleshoot the belt, got it all tensioned and tightened up. Everything's looking good. But like I said, that's about all I got for you guys. Hopefully you remember to stay safe and stay hydrated. Hopefully you're no longer stumped, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. I got the most content on the continent. Constant compliments give me confidence across common sense and incompetence. I'm cognizant that conflict is consequence of accomplishments. Or, you know, whatever he says, Stump fam. You know I love you.